Hi everyone, welcome to the Schwowin's Nest. Here on my channel, I do budget-friendly home decor, looks for less, and trash to treasure, along with crafting, seasonal decor, and decorating. If you're new to my channel, I'd like to welcome you. I hope you stick around for a while. If you are a current subscriber, I want to thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. My first DIY for you today is using these cedar grilling plates that I picked up at my local grocery store. They come in a pack of 4 and they were $7, so just under $2 per board. They measure approximately 6 inches wide by about 13 inches long.
To start, I'm going to use 80 grit sandpaper to get all of the pieces that are sticking up off. And then I'm going to go over it again with some 220 grit sandpaper just to make it nice and smooth.
I've picked up some sanding blocks from the Dollar Tree, and you can tell by the shape of this one that it has been very loved. So to cover it, I'm just going to cut out a strip of the 220 grit sandpaper and then just wrap it around just to make it easier to hang on to.
So I have a piece of buffalo plaid Christmas paper, and I'm going to cut out a pretty wide strip, and then I'm going to Mod Podge it to the side of the sign. I had some Mod Podge left over in this little bucket from a previous project, and in order to save it, this was actually 2 days ago, I just took a Ziploc bag or a self-sealing bag or zipper bag, whatever you want to call it, and I just put the brush and the bowl right inside, and everything is still nice and wet and ready for me to use. So that's just a little tip for you. If you've ever got some leftover paint or paint brushes and you know you're going to need to use the same product, you know, later in the day or the next day, you can go ahead and use a Ziploc bag. You can use some saran wrap, wrap it up really tightly. Just make sure that no air can get in, and then you'll have everything nice and soft to continue using.
As I lay down the paper, I'm going to want to make sure that my pattern is even on both ends, and then I'm just going to smooth it down and then place some Mod Podge on the back and glue it in place. One thing that I like to do when I'm using Mod Podge and paper is use my finger to just rub over the outside edges and any seams just to make sure that the glue has good contact. Then I'm going to put a layer of Mod Podge on the top of the paper to keep it securely in place. I thought it would be a nice idea to use some twine and wrap it around a few times with some different angles just to give it more of a rustic look. Next, I'm going to add some multiple sizes of jingle bells and glue them onto the twine. I'm sticking to my rule of using odd numbered items, so I've got 5 jingle bells that I'm going to glue on.
I'm just going to do some freehand writing with my Craft Smart paint pen, and I'm going to do let it and then snow at the bottom.
For the words let it, I'm just going to use some uppercase letters, and for the word snow, I'm going to do it in a little bit of a script writing with lowercase letters. If you've watched me create any of my other signs, you'll know that After I'm done my initial writing of the word, I go back and thicken the areas that are on the downswing of the letters. So right here I'm doing the N, and the part that goes down goes thicker, and then the part that goes up stays thin, and the part that goes down again gets thicker. So I do that for all of my lettering. I love the look of the black letters, but I decided to add some red to the word snow. The second project that I am doing for you today is using a bamboo cutting board that I picked up at Dollarama for $4, and it has a nice little groove on the inside of it, but I wasn't sure if I was going to use the front or the back. And the second thing I'm going to be using is this bag that I picked up at Dollar Tree, and if you watched my previous haul, you would have seen a whole bunch of them.
I'm going to start by giving it a coat of linen white chalk paint, and I'm using my rough bristle brush because I'm going to do some distressing on the wood afterwards. I like using these brushes because with the chalk paint you get brush strokes, and that's going to help me mimic wood grain.
Another tip I can give you about painting when you want to distress and make things look like wood is to always do the brush strokes in the same direction and not do what's called a cross hatching, where you just kind of go all over the place. So you can see that I'm going in the horizontal direction all the time.
When I'm painting things like pieces of wood or signs, and I need to paint the sides, I tend to use any type of little pedestal. These are just something that I had around. They were a thrift store find, just to raise it up so I can easily get to the sides and I don't make quite such a mess on my tabletop. This is going to be the back of the sign, so what I'm going to do is use some of my country gray chalk paint and give it a bit of a whitewash distressed kind of look. Go ahead and just dip in just a little wee bit, and then I'm going to just pounce some of it off, and then using a very light touch and going in the same direction as the wood grain, I'm just going to brush across, and you can see that it's going to start picking up some of the brush strokes from the white.
What I really like about the dry brushing is that any raised or lowered edges are going to get a little bit more paint, so you can start to see the frame of the indentation on this cutting board starting to show up around the edges, and I just think that's a really unique look. What I did with the bag was just cut out one side of it, and what I'm doing is laying it down on the cutting board, and where that lowered edge is, or raised edge, whichever you want to call it, I'm using my scissors to kind of scratch across that, because the effect I want to achieve is torn paper around the edges instead of a cut straight line. I'm going to flip the paper over, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to see some of the cut marks. And I went through on a couple of sides, but that's going to make it easier for me to just tear the paper. And that's going to make the paper look old and worn out. Very distressed and oh so farmhouse.
I've got the paper all just kind of torn around the edges, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So now I'm going to put a layer of Mod Podge just on the inside frame, and I'm going to glue it down. I'm going to use a fairly good amount of Mod Podge because this is a thicker paper, and I want to make sure that it's going to stick properly. And then I'm just going to match up the corners and place it down.
I'm just going to use my hands to squeeze out any bubbles, but you could use a credit card or an old scraper or some other sharper object, even a ruler, just to make sure that it's all nice and flat.
The final step is just to give this another coat of Mod Podge and let it dry completely.
I'm also going to take the Mod Podge out to the edge of the cutting board so all of the front is the same texture and shine. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, share my video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, comment and let me know what you think, and click the bell to get notified when I upload new videos. See you in the next one.